My approach to this review is going to be slightly different to the other videos that you see on my channel because the Mazda CX-90 Signature has so many things to discuss. I didn't just want to hit the road right away and start rambling on thoughts. There's a lot of important things to discuss because this is very much a next generational product for Mazda. I know I've been saying it for a few years now that Mazda has been making moves to elevate its image, to move itself more up market, and I have thought that to be true in the CX-30, CX-50 and the Mazda 3s, but this CX-90 is based upon an all-new platform, all-new engine and other features of the powertrain, and really this gives a very clear indication for what direction Mazda wants to set itself towards and really actually properly take away sales from the premium end of the market. And spoiler review for the end of my video, it really feels like Mazda has reversed engineered a bunch of BMW and Lexus products to get to a point that it has its own identity, obviously taking the next big step forward, but not being so detached from its current brands that things in here are just unrecognizable. So let's start with the cabin, and really the most important thing to address with the CX-90 is that it is a fair bit bigger on the inside than the CX-9, but as a mid-size 3-row SUV it's still not the biggest in its class, not by a long shot. If you want an SUV that's just a bus for all of your kids and all their things, you'll probably still end up with a Honda Pilot or a Kia Telluride, for example. This, especially in its signature trim with 6-seat configurations, there are also 7 or 8-seater configs for the Mazda CX-90, it strikes me as the kind of vehicle you're buying a little later into your family's life. Maybe you have the kids that are now teenagers. I mean, you don't expect to be filling every single seat for every single journey. Then the CX-90 might be a little bit better set for that kind of individual. To speak on the seating configuration and cabin space of this CX-90, like I said, I'm in the top trim Signature. It's a 6-seater, 2 captain chairs for the middle row, and this exclusive center console unit has a little bit of space and a sliding out drawer, and the 3rd row of seating is definitely tight. Really only put kids back there, I think. And one of the biggest faults I think I have with this vehicle is that even if the 3rd row of seating isn't up and you don't have those headrests up, it is quite a poor set of visibility. I've had to move that 3rd row seat a fair bit forward just so I can actually see out the window. Overall interior storage is on the lower side compared to its rivals. This center console here, you could easily throw your wallets and your phone, but certainly not a handbag or a book. You've got enough space here in the door cards for larger water bottles, 2 cup holders up here, and the glove box is actually a somewhat decent size. And to speak a little more about usability, you can fold to the 3rd row flat. Underneath you've got a little bit of hidden storage, but that's where you're going to access your tire changing kit, and underneath that hard plastic you have a space saver spare wheel. 2nd row of seating can fold flat, but I don't think you're going to be turning this into a van, given how the center console space is covered in some nice leather. I don't think you would want to scratch or damage all of that. So the user friendliness and the cabin space of the CX-90 isn't its top priority and not its greatest strength. But what is a strength is its interior design, technology, and it really is extremely well put together. This is better than what I'd expect out of a Lexus. This is pretty much close with the BMWs and Mercedes of the world. Yes, there's hard plastics here on the door cards, but you've got the padding here on the sides and right here on the grab handle, so it's just like a Mercedes GLE really on the inside. You've got a 12.3-inch touchscreen when you're at a stop with wireless Apple CarPlay. So another 12.3-inch for the digital instrument cluster with all new graphics. There's a whole new system actually for Mazda, but the cabin space is just awesome. You've got the suede across the dash and on the seats, and also on the 2nd row seating too. Lots of thick padding for the leather, and the Bose speaker system here in this model is actually quite good. You won't be able to feel this obviously, but using all of the switchgear, it has the same authority like an Audi does. And it is very much a no-nonsense interior. Even though Mazda has gone through this next generation platform, it doesn't feel like a totally alien experience. They're still trying to prioritize simplicity, and there's really not much for gimmicks in here. Seats are excellent. I'm 6'4", more than enough headroom back here for the second row of space. I could be happy back there for a long trip. A good amount of headroom back there too. The seats recline and slide, obviously, and you have some integrated sunshades. So, I think that's everything I need to talk about for the cabin. Let's now finally get on the road, because even though I am impressed, and I think you will be, by the cabin of the CX-90, what is really going to set it apart against the more mainstream brands and really give it an edge up against the premium competitors is how this vehicle drives. Alright, so finally on the road with the Mazda CX-90, and so much more to discuss here as well. Might as well start with the basics. The CX-90 comes with two different powertrain options, either a 3.3 litre inline-six mild hybrid system or a 2.5 litre four-cylinder plug-in hybrid model. This 3.3 litre inline-six is an all-new engine for Mazda, is longitudinally mounted, and the all-wheel drive system in these products is a rear-biased system. Power is sent from the engine to the wheels to an 8-speed transmission that appears to be a Mazda developed unit. And with the 3.3 litre inline-six, there's two different power outputs. You either have 280 horsepower with 332 pound-feet of torque for the entry-level inline-sixes, or with the higher-end models, they get 340 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. And by the time you're watching this video, very good chance that I'm in the CX-90 plug-in hybrid. So if you have any questions regarding that product, put them in the comments right away so that I can hopefully address them once I have that product in my hands. Okay, enough about the numbers and the statistics. Let's talk about what this Mazda is actually like to drive. First thing, steering's heavy and it weights up a lot in corners. It's funny, I went from the new Honda Pilot straight into this, and the Pilot had very light steering. You could do this and nothing would happen. But doing this, you might be able to tell that the vehicle is actually jostling side by side, and I've got a slow corner here, just going 50 kilometers an hour, and I have to put a little bit of muscle in. And I like that. I like a car to have effort. It might turn away some people that just want a vehicle to be an appliance, but this already in the first 10 yards feels engaging. Next thing, the brakes. They are incredibly well calibrated. This 3.3 litre engine is a mild hybrid, and I'll talk about its capabilities later. And of course, with it being a mild hybrid, it has regenerative braking ability, but you wouldn't know. These feel like totally normal brakes to me. And with every other Mazda I've driven, you get a good amount of bite at the top of the pedal, and you can really stomp on them if you need to. The CX-90 has a system that Mazda calls the kinematic posture control, and from what I understand, it's going to be braking the inside wheels when you're going around a tight corner, and it helps level out the suspension so that when you take a hard corner, you aren't flopping over to the side. And I think that how I feel this suspension is calibrated is that you have that first little bit of lean, and it gets compressed into the springs, and then it holds that lean very confidently. The suspension of the CX-90 is on the firm side at slow speed stuff, but when you get up to highway speed, you just hear the suspension going over the cracks. You don't feel it at all, even on these 21-inch rims, which don't feel unnecessarily large. Yes, they're beautiful and they're for the style, but they don't seem to be the factor that is upsetting the ride. I think Mazda has just built this product to feel firm and to feel involving. Another thing to talk about the engine is that it is electric smooth. You do not feel an ounce of vibration. And in a sense, the engine does feel a little bit detached. It's strange. I don't think I've actually been able to hear it. With the windows down, you will hear the turbo spool up and release. but you can probably hear now that there is a good amount of pumped-in audio in this product, and it feels perhaps a little bit disingenuous. And for it being a brand new product, I'm a little bit upset that I can't actually hear what this engine is like. The refinement of the engine really is up to snuff with BMW's straight six. Just incredible, really. Let's quickly talk about the mild hybrid capabilities of this Mazda CX-90, because it can do a fair amount of work. It's got a small lithium-ion battery pack and an electric motor between the engine and the transmission, and the biggest benefit that you'll find is that there's circumstances where you might be coasting down a hill, you're not using air conditioning, for example, and the engine will shut off. So a nice little method to save fuel, and it actually makes the reignition on stop start and you're getting off the line a little bit faster. So that's all good and it works. But what's really quite clever is that the engine will shut off on a downhill, let's say, and as you indicate to turn into a corner, at some point as you're rotating the wheel back, the engine restarts, and it's so smooth that you don't feel it. But my biggest issue with the CX-90 so far is the calibration of the 8-speed transmission. When you put a little bit of throttle effort into it, or you're doing any kind of cruising speed, the shifts up and down pretty much imperceptible. But there's been a few instances where you're going very slow, you're doing cruising speed, or you're just getting off of the line, and the transmission, it seems almost confused. What I mean by that is the first maybe half an inch of throttle movement, it stumbles a little bit, and every once in a while, even if the engine is nicely warmed up, I'll feel just a little from the transmission, and I snap my fingers like this because it isn't a thud, it isn't a clonk. You can just feel with the same kind of authority of you snapping your fingers, the transmission switching its cogs. So this is maybe an issue that can be ironed out over time, and I hope that is the case, because if this is going to be the foundation of all of the big, more premium Mazdas to come, such as the CX-90 that we should expect next year, and hopefully the product that will replace the Mazda 6, I hope that's an issue that will be solved, as it just takes a tiny little bit of refinement out of the overall vehicle. So the driving dynamics of the CX-90, I really don't think can be matched with its other mainstream rivals. I really think you have to go to a BMW X5 or a Mercedes GLE to get this amount of richness from behind the wheel. It's mighty, mighty impressive, and a sign of good things to come, I hope, for Mazda. A couple other nitpicks I'll make as I'm driving before I make my final conclusion is that there's also some other weird things with the software calibration of this product. You may have heard it a couple times in this video already, if I haven't edited it out, that is. I've been driving this car for a week, and there's been plenty of circumstances where the blind spot monitoring system is engaged for a vehicle going the other way. And because of that, it's indicated now. I don't have a vehicle behind me, and I've just indicated, and the blaring went, thinking that I've got someone in my blind spot, but there isn't, so that's a little bit odd. I will say that the animations for the software is actually very attractive, and it's clear they've made improvements to the lane keeping assist system to what I experienced in plenty of other Mazdas previously. I don't know if this is technology that's coming straight from a Toyota now that Toyota has a minority stake in Mazda. Feels better than what I've come to experience in the latest Lexus and Toyota products, in truth. Okay, here's my final subjective thoughts. Let's talk about the exterior looks of the CX-90. Not a bad looking vehicle, but it's the first Mazda of recent memory that I've been disappointed by the looks. It just looks a little complicated and maybe not very continuous front to back compared to the last CX-9. I think that was amongst one of the best looking SUVs on sale, but there's something here that's just a little bit disjointed to me about the CX-90 for whatever reason. We've got it in the new Artisan Red, which is a very deep, rich red. It's a blood red, burgundy, however you want to describe it. And because it's so dark, I think it actually robs away some of the complexity of the side profile. But I think it matches this mature personality that the CX-90 seems to exude, especially with this gorgeous cabin arrangement. Okay, so that has been a very long video, and I've got a lot of editing on my hands to get rid of some of the unnecessary things, but I spent so much time talking in this video because there is so much new stuff to discuss, and it's going to be prevalent in the next Mazda SUV that they make, and hopefully the next generation of Mazda 6. I am blown away by this product. It's 95% a BMW X5 on the inside. I know that might not be good enough still to get people out of those higher end dealerships, but you really have to give this product a go. The build quality, the refinement, the clear mission ahead, and the standout driving dynamics is why I would put my money where my mouth is, and I would own this product. I wouldn't maybe need it. Maybe I'd wait for the CX-90 because I certainly will not be using the third row of a product like this, and really I think it's one of the weaker points of the overall design of the CX-90. So apologies for the length of this video. Hopefully it gave you more than enough information though if you are actually planning to walk into the dealership and give this vehicle a test drive, and you really should. You really, really should. So thank you very much for taking time to watching this video. Promise the next one won't be as long, and I hope to see you again on the channel soon.